This is the Georgia Farm Monitor. Since 1966, your source for state and national agribusiness news, and features for farmers and consumers about Georgia's #1 industry, agriculture. The Georgia Farm Monitor is produced by the state's largest general farm organization, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now, here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Bergamy.
Like Father Time, the Georgia Farm Monitor stops for no one. Yes, still going strong after 51 years. This is the latest edition. I'm Ray DeLessio.
And I'm Kenny Bergamy. As always, we've got a packed show for you. Coming up, John Holcomb talks to the owners of Washington Farms and shares the incredible story of how their daughter found a calling in Africa and is now still helping women in need.
Also on the show, Sonny Perdue tells members of Congress the time is now to fix the current Forest Service fire funding problem. His solutions and why the timing is urgent. Plus,
hey everybody, Ranger Nick. Coming up this month, I'm stepping into a biosecure area, talking about what UGA is doing regarding bird flu and how they're getting the message out through extension. All that and so much more starts right now on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
When you think of agritourism in Georgia, one may assume it only has to do with people here in the state, but that's not always the case, at least for one farm in Watkinsville, Georgia, that's changing people's lives all the way in Uganda. The Monitor's John Holcomb has the story.
Agritourism in Georgia is a big part of the state's ag industry. Georgia has a lot to offer people looking to get out and do some type of seasonal activities. During the fall season, pumpkin patches and corn mazes are big hits. One of the many places that offer those activities is Washington Farms.
We started out doing hay rides down to the petting zoo, which was just a few animals for $2 a head, so that's how we got started, and every year we've just grown and added new things, and now we're into the agritourism kind of in a big way. It keeps us busy, and so that's what we've been doing. We've been at this location for about 17 years now.
The family farm has a ton of stuff to do to make sure anyone that comes is sure to have a good time, whether it be playing in the corn box, shooting some hoops, or going on a wagon ride around the farm.
We want to have a good, safe environment where families can come out and enjoy themselves.
Each year, the farm also offers a corn maze, and each year, the design is different. This year, though, it's extra special as the maze outlines the state of Georgia and the continent of Africa, which is honoring their daughter, Amy, who currently lives and serves as a missionary in Uganda.
She had about $4,000 and flew to Africa and started a ministry. And so that's how she got started, taking in young pregnant girls with crisis pregnancies in very difficult, extremely difficult situations to get the mothers through childbirth and the babies through childbirth both alive and healthy and happy.
Amy first went to Africa for a short-term trip after graduating from the University of Georgia with a degree in business marketing in 2009, but was forever changed after her visit.
She went over there in the summer of 2009 and just fell in love with the people, and she had never seen a place or people with so much need. So she came back and started working, and she would save her money and then fly back over there and then permanently moved there in 2011.
Even though she physically came home from that trip, her heart never did. She couldn't forget what she saw and realized how much she had compared to those people, just resources, just food.
Amy is now 30 years old, and since starting Kapindua Ministries, she has not only started one maternity home, but she has also opened a second one. In those homes, aside from making sure they are healthy, she also works with the mothers to teach them vocational skills so they can provide for their babies.
She also works with the girls with a vocational program, an educational program, all types of just training that a lot of people get in other countries, and these young girls don't have that kind of training, so that when they leave the ministry, they'll be able to take care of themselves, take care of their baby, provide for themselves, and make a good living.
Since moving over there, Amy has also taken in some babies that were orphaned and adopted them to be her own.
So today, she has adopted 5 of the 8 little ones that she's taken in. So she is the mom of 8 little Ugandan children, in addition to running these 2 maternity homes now.
If you look at the design of the maze, it says helping others with Washington Farms. And that's just what happens when people come to the farm. They are helping others, specifically those in Africa.
This year, there's a percentage of all the tickets sold to the farm that go through the corn maze that goes directly to her ministry to help those mothers and babies in need over there.
Reporting in Watkinsville for the Georgia Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Thank you, John. Meantime, the American Farm Bureau's Fall Harvest Market Basket Survey is out. The survey finding that the total cost of 16 foods used to prepare several meals was $51.13. That's up $1.43 from the survey results a year ago. AFBF Director of Market Intelligence John Newton saying higher retail prices for several foods, including bacon, chicken breast, and orange juice, were behind the increase.
If you think about what's happening in the food service sector, consumers are enjoying more fatty foods. And bacon is the sexy food item at the restaurant and at the retail space. Bacon inventories this year are down from where they were in prior year levels. And as a result, we saw pork belly prices rise to highs we haven't seen in recent years. And that's reflected in those retail bacon prices. Looking at the overall food price trends that we've seen in recent years, food prices have remained relatively flat. So I would expect this year consumers will continue to see a reasonably priced Thanksgiving dinner for 2017.
Now to Atlanta, where recently some of the top ag economists and extension agents from around the South gathered to discuss the industry outlook for the coming year.
Damon Jones was there and tells you how the crops are looking and some of the major issues farmers are facing.
Harvest season is officially here for some of the major crops around the state. That means extension agents and economists will be hard at work advising the farmers. It's the reason events like the Southern Outlook Conference is so important, as it helps them plan for the upcoming year.
This is a meeting where we can work with colleagues, network, and develop some programs that would be useful throughout the region. And this is just an opportunity to get the foundation started for some of these extension programs that farmers will be able to benefit from this fall and winter.
With farmers just weeks away from getting out into the fields, this year's crop looks like another productive one.
We're looking at a pretty good year overall, production-wise. Maybe not the record that we had previous years, but in the South and Southeast, things are looking pretty good right now if we can just get the crops harvested.
However, the news isn't all good, as low commodity prices continue to be the major obstacle farmers struggle with.
We've come off a record or near record profitability ending in about 2013, and prices are just lower much faster than the cost structure. And we've been helping farmers, working with farmers, improving their management skills and just trying to work with these years of unprofitable prices.
With that in mind, economists are encouraging the farmers to devise a long-term strategy, as prices are unlikely to turn around overnight.
Farmers really don't have control over price, and so it's really about the management plan and being able to use some marketing strategies and insurance and relying upon the safety net out there to at least cover your cost of production so that you can farm another year. Right now, you know, with the good crops that we've had and continuing to look at strong crops, you know, it may take a couple more years before markets to really turn.
Another topic of concern is the upcoming farm bill, which is still not all that close to being finalized.
I don't have any hope that it will be done this year. I thought that was kind of wildly optimistic. Hopefully we can get it done by early next year. If not, then boy, it could sure get pushed into the year after that because of elections.
However, patience will be the key, as there are a number of negotiations that have to be settled in the coming months.
The number one issue every year is people want more protection and there's less money to spend. And so there's always these trade-offs, and you have to, the folks in Washington have to kind of weigh everybody's needs and try to do the best they can. And it's a very tough juggling act for sure.
Reporting from Atlanta, I'm Damon Jones for the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Damon, thank you so much. When we come back, Ranger Nick learns all about avian influenza and what the folks at UGA are doing to help prevent a potential outbreak.
The statewide variety testing team has been busy harvesting sorghum plots on the University of Georgia's Iron Horse Farm in Watkinsville. The team cuts the sorghum every 30 to 45 days to replicate cattle grazing on the sorghum. They weigh the vegetative material and head back to their home base on the UGA Griffin campus with their subsamples. There, they determine the percent moisture and calculate the dry weight per acre. Several varieties of sorghum are planted and ranked, and the information is compiled into a crop report for Georgia farmers. The UGA statewide variety testing program also produces crop reports each year for corn, soybeans, summer annual forages, peanuts, cotton, tobacco, canola, and small grains. For more information on the UGA statewide variety testing program, please visit www.swvt.uga.edu.
And speaking of UGA, his name is infamous amongst the students that walk the campus on a daily basis. I mean, just mentioning Ranger Nick will get you prime seating at any restaurant in Athens.
Well, okay, that's an exaggeration, but Nick is indeed very well connected at UGA, and this month he was given an inside look at some very important research that affects one of our state's biggest industries.
Well, those of you that watched the Ranger Nick segment over the past couple months know we've focused on cattle, we've focused on horses, and I've been getting quite a bit of fan mail from some of the chickens out there, and I've been trying to decipher what they're saying. It is chicken scratch, and I feel like they're jealous. They need some more time. We need to talk poultry for a little bit. As the air cools down and fall starts in, I thought, let's spend some time talking about avian influenza, what UGA is doing about it, and let's start by visiting with a couple of poultry scientists. I'm joined by a couple of them today right off the campus at UGA. Dr. Bruce Webster. Hey, Doc, good to see you. And Dr. Brian Fairchild. I want to start with Dr. Webster for a second and talk about avian influenza. What is this? How does it get started for the folks at home that might have a backyard flock, or maybe the producer that has a large house of chickens? Talk to us about that, Doc.
Well, avian influenza is really an avian disease, obviously, by the name, that has a lot of varieties. It's a virus, but there's many variations of the virus, some of which are highly pathogenic. They're all quite contagious, some of which are highly pathogenic and basically kill flocks. And that's why it's of concern. The contagious nature of the disease and the pathogenicity of the disease such as makes it a threat to our commercial poultry industry and our backyard flock population in the state, because it can be spread so easily.
Which is so interesting. I'm wondering about the person at home that might have a backyard flock. They walk outside one day, they see a couple of dead birds. What's a step or two or three that they should do right away to do something about that?
Well, a very good, simple step would be to contact their county agent who has contacts with the Georgia Poultry Lab Network and can put them through an avian influenza hotline. If it looks like that might be the disease, the Georgia Poultry Lab Network has people who will come and test the birds and really confirm whether or not that might be the case.
Interesting. And that's, so we know a little bit of background on what this influenza is. Well, you know I'm a big fan of UGA Extension, and I want to talk about what is UGA doing to get the word out there about this, and Dr. Fairchild is going to share a little bit of that. Doc, what kind of things are we doing to get that word out and share these kind of things that Dr. Webster shared?
We've had a number of meetings across the state for both backyard flock owners as well as poultry companies. In addition, we've got information on our website. But basically what we're trying to do is disseminate information and encourage people to just increase their biosecurity. Be careful, because odds are the way this is going to come in is through some kind of wild birds flying over the property, maybe shedding the virus. The birds may pick it up, your backyard flock, or pick it up on your shoes or your clothing, and you walk into that area where the birds are, and you could bring that virus and introduce it to the birds. So we're saying biosecurity. Be careful. Maybe have your own set of clothes and shoes that you just wear around the chickens, not anywhere else. And just be aware for looking for signs of what avian influenza is that Dr. Webster mentioned.
Interesting. And so just the simple fact of stepping in bird poop is going to transmit that disease potentially to my flock in my backyard.
That's correct.
Interesting. Now, for the folks at home who are watching the tailgate and the football games this time of year and eating those chicken wings, should they be worried? What do you think?
No, they should not be worried. All flocks are tested every year. Every flock prior to slaughter or processing will be, before removal from the farm, will be tested for avian influenza, and it will not leave the farm unless it tests negative.
So I want to give everybody at home a chance to see what a UGA student would experience in one of these awesome poultry science classes. So yours truly is going to be the student for a second, and Dr. Webster is going to talk us through how we would evaluate this white leghorn chicken that I'm holding right here. So Doc, talk about how would we evaluate this bird, and with me as a student, teach me something.
Okay, well, first, we obviously want our students to be very, very knowledgeable of the sciences of poultry production, but we don't want them to graduate from here without actually being truly comfortable with birds and just know how to work with them, know how to handle them, know how to keep them well and safe as we handle them, and to evaluate them for various aspects such as past egg production or well-being. So to start with, we really want to start with the bird upright and look at its face. Okay. Is the eye bright? Is there good coloration? Is the flesh full, sort of thing? In this case, we'd also could look at the eye ring and the beak. In this case, you can see they're not very yellow. That means the bird's been laying eggs and putting the yellow pigment that is in the feed into the egg. That's why the yolk is yellow and not into the beak and eye ring. If we wanted to look at further egg production, the more the bird produces eggs, the more bleaching there is in the legs. So you can see here, this bird here has fairly white legs. It's produced a lot of eggs, whereas this one's legs are still quite yellow. It's not produced so many eggs just yet. So that's kind of one of the things we can look at. The other, basically, we want to look at what kind of condition the bird is in, because the more eggs it lays, in this case it's an egg-producing bird, it has to put calcium into every egg. There can be some risk for the bones. If it doesn't get enough calcium in its feed, then the bones may suffer, the bird may get osteoporosis, and that can show up in terms of the keel maybe not basically deforming or not being as firm as it should be. So we can actually feel the keel here and feel it is straight, and this one is actually quite straight and quite firm. So this bird's in good condition. It's been well fed. There hasn't been any problems in the bird's management in terms of the feed and nutrition of the bird, and we can be confident that the flock it came from is in good shape. So
that's great, and I can feel that little keel on my hand right now. Dr. Webster and Dr. Failchild, who's not on screen with us right now, I want to thank both of those guys for hanging out with me today. What a cool thing. I get to become a student and learn about this little lady right here. Well, y'all at home know what to do. You check us out on Facebook, like the Georgia Farm Monitor Facebook page, slide on over to the Ranger Nick Facebook page, and we can communicate that way. And for all of us here at the Monitor, I'm Ranger Nick reminding you that enthusiasm is contagious, so pass it on. Y'all, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you all right back here again next month. See ya.
Don't forget, if you missed any part of Nick's story or others on today's program, you can see them in their entirety at our YouTube channel, the Georgia Farm Monitor. Plenty of good stuff to choose from. In fact, the archives go all the way back to 2009.
And hey, while you're there, just keep clicking. Like the Georgia Farm Monitor Facebook page. Also, send us some feedback if you like. If you have a story idea or if you just want to leave us a comment or suggestion, send us a message either on Facebook or at the address on the screen. That is news@farm-monitor.com. Up next, treat wildfires the same as other disasters. That's the message U.S. Secretary of Ag Sonny Perdue sent to members of Congress, the reason for his concerns, and why something needs to happen sooner rather than later. Stay tuned.
Every 5 years, the USDA's National Agricultural Statistics Service, or NASS, uses the Census of Agriculture to get a complete picture of all U.S. farms, ranches, and those who operate them. Conducted since 1840, the Census of Agriculture is the only source of uniform, comprehensive, and impartial agriculture data for every county in the nation. Those who serve farmers and rural communities, including federal, state, and local governments, agribusinesses, trade associations, extension educators, researchers, even farmers and ranchers themselves, all rely on Census of Agriculture data. Your answers to the census influence decisions that can determine the future of American agriculture, from growing family farms and shaping farm programs to boosting services for communities and the industry. More voices means more accurate information. It starts with you. Respond. NASS will mail Census of Agriculture questionnaires later this year. You can respond online or by mail, but this year responding online is easier than ever. The online form is user-friendly and convenient on any electronic device. It calculates your totals automatically and skips sections that don't apply to your operation. Responding online saves time and improves data quality. Completing the first few qualifying questions on the census is the quickest and easiest way to update NASS records. But keep in mind that some people who may not consider themselves farmers might actually meet the census definition of a farm. Any place that sold or normally would have sold $1,000 or more of agricultural products during the census year. As always, whether you respond online or by mail, all your data are secure and confidential. To learn more about the Census of Agriculture, visit www.agcensus.usda.gov. The Census of Agriculture is your voice, your future, your opportunity.
Well, finally today, there is growing concern regarding the deadly wildfires in the western states such as California and Montana.
Yeah, Ray, they've already destroyed a number of wineries, cattle ranches, not to mention the loss of human life. That's why U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue is urging Congress to fix the current Forest Service fire funding problem. Perdue addressed the situation during the recent swearing-in of new Forest Service Chief Tony Took.
Every year when we have to take in the Forest Service and hoard our appropriated dollars in order to have money to fight the fires where we know they're going to be insufficient, that's wrong. We need, with all of our heart and strength and mind, Tony, to appeal to the appropriators in Congress and the law writers to fix the fire borrowing problem once and for all. As good as you are, as good as you know the Forest Service, there's no way you can manage the Forest Service not knowing what you're going to have to spend. That is not the way appropriations should work. I've communicated that to OMB. I'm communicating that to members of Congress. I've communicated that to the President. And by golly, we hope we're going to get something done about it this year. I think the momentum is there, along with other disasters. I've told people the analogy, it's like eating your seed corn. You know, when you have to spend so much fighting fires, you can't spend the money that's appropriated to prevent forest fires. You know, Smokey wants us to prevent forest fires, don't you, Smokey? You know, our budget, you know the facts, our budget has moved from 15% of fire suppression to over half, 55% plus. It may be more than that this year in having to fight fires. And there's no way we can do the kind of forest management and prescribed burning and harvesting and insect control, all those kind of things that diminish fires. Fires will always be with us, but when we leave a fuel load out there because we have not been able to get to it because of a lack of funding or dependable funding, we're asking for trouble. We're asking for disasters year in and year out, and that's what we hope to get fixed. I want you all to know that I'm fighting hard for that. Tony Took's going to fight hard for that. This whole Department of USDA is going to fight hard to communicate to Congress and administration that we need a permanent fire funding and stop this fire borrowing once and for all.
Yeah, fingers crossed. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Here's a reminder for all the latest ag info regarding food, great recipes, and what's happening down on the farm. Be sure and check out our Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest pages. You'll stay informed and see what's up in the world of farming and here with us on the show.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week right here on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Have a great week.